Hey guys, how are you? Here once again. Do you want your life to be auspicious into the direction that you want it to be? Then you found the right channel, because you can steer it. You are your own ship. So here we go. This topic today is about general training, bit of bodybuilding. I used to do bodybuilding back in the day. So I'm quite proficient in that area where the performance is concerned, and all the other micro details, intricate details concerning it. So I do have a sufficient amount of knowledge concerning that. And today's topic is about that, and also how that correlates to spirituality. So today's topic is working out, bodybuilding, and how that can be spiritual for you, and how it can enhance the spiritual aspect in which you're animate of. Remember, it's what you are, not who. So here we go. So my first point on this topic would be how it can enhance spirituality. Well, for me, bodybuilding, I still do it, but I'm natural, so I'm not going to pack slabs of meat on because you're just not able to when you're not hormonally enhanced. But you really do not need that. I'm not going to advocate that or condone that in any way at all, because it's an external dependency again, and that externalizes the sufficiency of what you can generate. So basically, this video is about how it can enhance spirit. You have to be very careful before you take steroids, because if you're in an egoic kind of domain, the artificial kind of egoic domain, then that can augmentate that completely, and that's a false version of what you are. So be careful, guys, okay? Do you agree, Tony? What? You don't? He doesn't agree. I won't have to cut this whole video off. Tony. He's one of the guides, the spirit guides. Is he hell? I'm just joking with you. Anyways. So your body, the first point is the fact that your body is a focal point. Your body is a focal point of the whole cosmic universe, condensed into this carbonized subatomic structure. You know, the 666 that people have, which is a connotation attached to something demonic. It's actually your carbon structure, subatomically. Your subatomic electromagnetic field. I've said this in other videos, go check them out. But yeah, so you're this carbon structure, which is a condensed version of what this whole projection is, in a Nordic point of attention of light. So when you are training in the gym, it's like a focal focus point on what this apertoire is, an expression of a God and something higher, like the layer columns of what you are all condensed into this projection of this experience that you are currently cognizant of and consciously aware of. But you are multidimensional. But when you're training, it seems to me that, because that's a focal point for me when I'm training, I really feel that I am this energy. Because it's like you're augmentating, which means amplifying, the fact that you are this, you are a reflection of what this is. Like, you are the projection in itself. Like, without this environment, for there to be this environment requires a you to experience this. So it is you. So when you're training, you're really refining the craft. You're really refining it neurally. And this is a neural experience. What you see on a visual basis is an interaction, an optical interaction. Well, it is the interacted. There's no two separate things happening. It is the interacted in itself. It is what seems like objective is the object experiencing itself as a whole. So when you're training in the gym, whether that's exertive sports, bodybuilding for me was more deeply immersed and ingrained in the muscle. And it was very meditative. Meditation means a medium to express something higher. So that's my first point. That's why it can be very meditative as a focalized point of attention, and it can be very liberating depending how you use it. But anyways, that leads me into my second point. If you do train properly, right, there is a proper way, which is it's devoid of the artificial falsity of what you think you are, which has a proclivity to exploit things externally, again exteriorizing what you are and your sufficiency and your sovereign state of a centered state of being, in exchange for enhancing the ego, not the soul. So it's sustenance for ego when you exploit external things like momentum. Using momentum to train is completely separating you from what you think you are. And I found in bodybuilding that really helped me center myself. And it goes for all training. It's metaphysical. There's a metaphysical aspect to it. It should be based on the metaphysical side. Meta means inner. Interior implies the exterior. Meta is the subtle thing that we are animate of, that comes multidimensionally and gets traversed. You can use that to traverse the egoic, mundane, dense plane. And when you're training, you can really use that, and it can be very auspicious to you, which means conducive, successful for you if you use metaphysical inner, the inner you, to be without, not the ego. So that is my second point. My third point on this, the more scientific, would be the fact that you're deeply immersed. When you're deeply immersed in what you are doing, and it's very introspective, again, which correlates to a meditative state. To know the in, you have to know the in to see what the out is, and why you might be reflecting certain things in your life. Well, it illuminates that, and it can have an illuminating effect on the dark parts of you to elicit that out, for that to percolate, and again for you to see that within yourself. And training can induce this effect. It can be very spiritual. Look at Dorian Yates, a huge bodybuilder. Look at what it's done for him. We're a catalyst into knowing the self, which corresponds to the all. The all. So yeah, being deeply immersed, it establishes new neural connections for the synapses, because it induces more neural connections, because you're training and you're oxygenating your body, oxygenating the blood, and the blood, when it's oxygenated, is carrying electrodes through your magnetic field, which is completely vivifying you on a cellular level. So you become more, you invoke a higher capacity of what you are, and use more of a higher faculty of the brain, because it completely enhances that too. So charging your body with electrons through oxygenating it and pumping up the muscle. Electrons are the subtle thing that animate the gross material body. They're concomitant, which means they are hand in hand. I think I've said this before, but one is the other, and there's no one without the other. So what does that infer within itself? That it is itself. But once you train, it can really vivify that sense of what you know you are, if you're not doing it egoically. So yeah, that is my third point. It was more of a scientific thing with the electrodes and enhancing that whole process, so you have more fluidity and more of a conduit, which also enables access to higher dimensional subtle realities as well. If you don't identify with and attribute your worth on the reflection of how your body looks, because that's a stagnant, dense kind of because that's duality, interpreting yourself on the basis of the modification of what you are, not just feeling it and appreciating the slow gradual gains that you make. Now once you do that, that's a form of art, which is my fourth point actually. It's like an art piece. You're literally morphing your body from a neural introspection to concretize, which means to manifest as the exterior. So you feel in control of your own reality. And it induces that kind of effect. And it has with me anyway. And it really is a liberating feeling that you can envision something, an abstraction of what you want to be. And that abstraction is not just a concoction of which is derivative from the false ego concocting, has a tendency to concoct notions about what it thinks reality is on the basis of what it's being told it is. It's not that. It comes from the heart. It's a transmission, and it's an abstraction of that. And it's a feeling that I want to create, and it can be an art piece. And I've made a video about this, that being creative, which this can be, is very creative. Seeing as your body is what this whole thing is, and when you're reflecting a projection of an abstraction in your mind, that's artistic and creative, and enables you to be present. And the presence of now, which I've said in another video, this infinitesimal slideshot of your life is the whole, it constitutes of the whole state of being as of now. Is a reverberation of what the whole cosmos is doing. That is what it is. So when you are training, you are immersed in that kind of sensation, that's what it is, and that's what you are. And it's like, it's an isolation, and it's very kind of, you're in a state of solitude when you're lifting them weights, and you're really feeling the mind utilizing resistance to its advantage. That's what it is. It's using resistance to its own advantage in a physical sense. So it is exploiting things, but that weight being heavy is an interpretation in the mind. And when you push past a certain plateau in which you self-occluded, which means you blocked within yourself that were unable to do that, then that shows you that to some degree that you can do anything really, and that can reverberate and ricochet throughout your reality, and that can be a pervasive kind of effect within you to show you that you can, and you are. Because it's saying, oh, this is heavy, or I cannot do this, is just again a dualistic interpretation, which is stratifying your mind, which causes you to knock you off axis a little bit, so there's no balance. And this training can realign you. Any kind of training can realign you with your heart, because you are connecting with source, because your body is source. It's like it is speaking in these terms, not in oppressive kind of terms of how the system works, the artificial system. I'm talking of in the name of something higher. You are a subordinate effect of that higher place, transmitting itself into this experience. So when you train, you're training that. That's what you are training. If the motive is not an exterior one, and it's to have a more of a connection with what you are, then it can definitely invoke something much greater within you. And like I've said already, that will definitely permeate other parts, what seem like other parts of your life, but it's all one integral thing, and it just becomes the moment of your life. So yeah, I've tried to expound this in a way which means convey to you, create a framework where it's not as cliched and all these motivational kind of reiterations. It's deeper than that. They're just affirmations. Affirmations are okay, but they're very transient and they soon dissipate. You've got to be careful it's not contrived and derived from the ego, but you feel it in the soul and the heart. And that will give you the impetus, like the momentum, into the direction of it being more spiritual. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that. Nothing's coming through right now, because it's not a very profound message that I'm trying to cultivate here. It's just stating some factual things about training and the contrast between training the ego versus training the soul. But the soul, again, I've done a video about this, the disparity between the ego of what God is expressing itself through you and the false ego that's based on an inferior superiority dualistic kind of interpretation. It's no up or down, it doesn't oscillate, it's on one even tangential resonance of a high vibratory state. That's God, that's the organic ego. When you're training, train that. Be expressive. But the original ego is to fully express the capacity of what God is. It's just within and of itself. And that is healthy because it inspires others. If it's to inspire others to reflect what they can do, to elicit something out of them on a spiritual basis by being an exemplification of what God is in this subordinate effect of what that is, then that is healthy for them. So guys, that will be it for now. The videos are going to keep coming, but you know, it's okay as long as it's consistent. It's okay for you guys. But yeah, that is my video on working out or any other kind of forms of training, and how that is linked to spirituality and how it can be if you want it to be. Use it in the right way, okay? Utilize it to your advantage, but not so it's completely subsuming you into a domain where you don't want to be, okay? Alright guys, it's been great talking once again. I love talking. So yeah, have a great day. Remember, you are love. And if it's not resonating on that subtle, higher vibratory state of love and congruency, then you have to reevaluate. Okay guys, thank you. Love you.